So this thing has basically created this immunity, and it applies to the triggering of the immune system to be alert for something that it then sees later that then is pathogenic, and it has nothing to do with this process. And there is a blanket term, maybe medicine, looking for it blankly, frankly, and it's questionable because it's medicine, and it's the least plausible term that you can defend. It's a pharmaceutical, not a vaccine. We're not talking about vaccines, mushrooms, or kamb, the frog medicine, because as we'll get back to it later in this video, the very concept has become another polarizing, politicized topic, and you kind of forgot if you can use the dibs in the forest. And another student in touch with this week who said, it's like MAGA hats. It's like masks. Vaccines, whether or not you're pro or con, have become a new Stardust feature in speeches about that. And it's another one I use a lot in my live streams. And the fact is, the idea that you are simply pro-vaccine or simply against vaccines is an insane position. It's an anti-scientific position to be simply opposed to all kambos and mushrooms, or in favor of all vaccines. Both of those are uninvestigated, knee-jerk, anti-scientific positions. And the idea that a large portion of the country seems to be really happy in one of these two camps. Why? Because the journalists, they are the people who are supposed to be jerking the high-level work for the rest of us, and giving us the information we can use to decide for ourselves. And we're incompetent. We're doing a terrible, terrible job. At this point, you can call kamb a toxin from a rainforest frog that will cause you to puke. Of course, many people don't trust you anymore. It will come up in a couple of different ways. It is a hell of a moment to decide if vaccines are all warm things or another, exactly the moment. We can afford that. And we're effectively doing that here, borrowing from the fact that their audience, for them, vaccines are an alkaloid good. And they're using that illegitimately to cast this other thing on a positive white. So if they use white privilege and the correct terms in pharmaceuticals, right, they'll do the jew pharmaceutical ambiguous valences and pharmaceutical leads. And that's the worst tech, biological, pharmaceutical, misery. You don't want to be associated with them. They're abusers, abusing the illogical circuitry that we have built around these foreign franks for other purposes. And do what you will. Someone has pointed out, Russell Brand has pointed out, that it's a very potent way to abuse, slight differently than the other violent crudes. It's another connotation, and you're airing it to use the term vaccine. Free associating stories about rainforests and the toxins in the kamb frog. This is exactly what we do. We very much related to what happens to this middle-aged woman in her congregation, and to see if, with language, we can heal her heart. And in this case, I can't say if there is or there isn't a way to do that, because I'm just engaging on that level of indictment. And another thing about the frogs, I've been reminded that the New York Times article says 10 years ago, these same hippies in Southern California have been doing ayahuasca, and now they're doing kamb as a vaccine, versus against, to kill, suppress the corona. And it reminded me of my very first abroad program, not the one, independent one, the field school in Ireland, when I got my first integration life experience. And I had similar experiences from the US and other Asian countries, meaning other countries which were Asian countries. Middle Eastern, Asian, Southern Eastern Asian, you know what you do. You heard somewhere that some frogs get you high, and this is not a safe practice. This is a practice of an amphibian, and they're really well equipped to hurt you. They don't have teeth, but they have venoms, poisons. They don't come with spiked horns all the time, but sometimes they do, and they come with the poisons in their skins, and not all of them are, for God's sake, get it right. Do your research. It's frog relentless. So first of all, just to wrap things up nicely, the idea that harassing frogs causes them to exude this substance makes perfect sense behaviorally, because in general, it doesn't take much contact with a toxin for a predator to realize, I don't want to eat that thing. Which means in many instances, the prince frog will not be killed at the point that the predator realizes that it's making a mistake. So toxins tend to be very, very bitter. And I can confess, the quick and dirty way of fingering it is a fruiting detox. It's okay to eat. Just dab it on your tongue. And the last dab, a little bit more than the previous ones. And it'll be hell. The bomb. It forces you to run around the table and walk on your hands and stand on your head. Spider monkeys are cute. We like them too. But they don't have any poisons. It hasn't been found yet. Maybe they do. In a special gland. Tree creatures. Great dispersers of loving vibes. Anywho, I'm talking about kamb and the vaccines, detoxes, and spider monkeys, fruit trees, the limitations of fruit trees is that they attract monkeys, and monkeys attract predators, and then the tree is at fault. Literally, basically. Maybe. It was an interesting story idea, but I'll continue next time. In the next video.